G'day guys, welcome back to Off-Road Crusader and welcome to 2023, the year which promises to be everything we want it to be, and it's up to you to decide exactly what you want this year to be for you. For me, it's going to be growing the channel, it's going to be putting a lot more effort into my videos, it's going to be seeing how far I can go with it, and having an awesome time regardless of the outcome. So look, come along, it's going to be great. And to kick off this year, I've decided to do a bit of review on these spotlights. So these are the Bushranger Nighthawk VBPs, variable beam pattern, and they're a 9-inch spotlight. I've had them now for just over 12 months, and I thought I would share my thoughts on them because they're a fairly new light, they're quite cutting edge, and you know, you might want a bit of feedback on how these perform in the real world, how they perform on some different conditions. And suffice to say, I have tested them, and I'd like to give you my feedback on them if that's okay. So stick around and enjoy the review on the Bushranger Nighthawk VBPs. Right, let's make light work of this review. Bushranger VBPs retail about $1,090 for the kit, so that's the 2 spotlights and the wiring loom. You can buy them from all sorts of different places online. ARB are the major stockist, or Bushranger you can also deal with direct as well. I spoke to Bushranger when I was starting to plan out mods for the 200 series. They offered me a set of these new lights and I gladly accepted because they are very unique. They, well, at the time they had just come out and there were no other reviews or in-store videos on them, and I was more than happy to jump on that bandwagon much earlier than everyone else. As such, disclaimer, I didn't pay for these lights, and they didn't ask for any review or any special treatment of the lights, just what's your honest feedback. And look, I thought I would share it with you because you may be looking at these lights as well, and I'm going to give you all the reasons why I reckon you should buy these lights, and a few reasons of maybe there's something different out there better for you. So the raw specs, these draw about 24 amps at full whack. 5,700 Kelvin is the color temperature, so close to like a daylight sort of temperature. They have a soft on and off function, which means that when you turn the lights on, there's about half a second delay between off and then full brightness. It sort of softly comes on rather than being full whack. Here's all the light, and I find that's much better on your eyes with like driver fatigue and that sort of thing. It does also help to keep the LEDs cooler because obviously they're not going on, off, on, off, on, off. And also means that if there's any street signs in front of you, they're not going to immediately reflect back in your eyes and blind the bejesus out of you. Bushranger rate these lights for 21,600 lumens for the pair. That's a pretty mid-range sort of number on these sort of lights. Obviously I can't test that number. I have no equipment that can test raw lumens. The real benefit for these lights is obviously you can adjust the beam pattern on the light, so that'll go either full spread or full spot depending on how you position a dial that's on the dash. That dial has 8 different settings, so 8 being full spot, 1 being full spread, and you can obviously adjust between the 2 of those. The way that that works is it has different patterns of LEDs in the spotlight. So there's sort of like almost a sideways H shape, which is in the center. That's for all your spot LEDs, and then there's the outside ones and some in the center which do your spread. When you have it on full spot, only the spot LEDs will be on in their maximum brightness, whereas if you go full spread, obviously vice versa. You will find that there'll be a medium where the spot ones will dim down slightly off their maximum and the other ones will start to come up, and you'll find a medium of what will work best for you. So you can have it on like a real medium level, and you'll sort of have half brightness out of each of those LEDs, which is still lots of light, but just means that the light is focused in different ways. Maximum distance with these on full spot is about 940 meters, whereas if you have them on full spread, you'll get about 510 meters. Those numbers aren't hugely remarkable. They're like, all that light is so usable because it's not shining 2 kilometers down the road. It's not going to give you that huge distance that some other manufacturers really get around, is like maximum distance and maximum light output. All the light is in a really usable range, and as such it doesn't sort of do more than what you are going to be able to use the light for, which is really nice. So the actual beam pattern, when you put it on full spread, you're going to get a beam width of about 165 meters. Now that 165 meters is at 1 lux. 1 lux is the measurement of light which you need to read a newspaper. On full spot it drops down to about 75 meters of width. but obviously you get that maximum distance from these lights as well. When you buy these, they come in a kit, so you get the 2 spotlights plus the wiring loom. The wiring loom is great. It is sized perfectly for these lights in the current draw. It's really easy to install. There is an install video up there somewhere, which will show you how easy it is to install the spotlights and the wiring loom into this car. They're really solid. There's cooling fins and sort of ducts that go around the outside of the light that help to draw all the heat away. LED lights have a tendency to get really hot because of the LEDs inside them, and so having either a really good heat sink or really good airflow around the lights really helps with keeping the lights cool, increases the longevity of the lights, and obviously stops any wear and tear from things overheating. The controller itself is super easy to put on the dash as well. It's about this big. I'll put the measurements up on the screen now. I've found a nice spot for it on the left-hand side of the steering wheel. It's accessible, it's easy to see, but it doesn't there's no like massive backlights or anything on the light which are gonna blind you when you're driving. So you don't have to look at the dials to find where they are. There's just a nice soft glow and you can find it nice and easy to adjust them. And speaking of adjusting, I found it really good to get out and just play with the lights. So I went out to a few local places around where I live, found some tight, twisty tracks. I found some wide open spaces, some long distance things, and just played with the different settings. So these lights, obviously you can do variable beams, so you can have them spot or spread, and you can also adjust the intensity of the light as well, making them either fully bright or right down dim. And I found that in a number of different situations, different combinations of those adjustments were the best for me. And I just had a really good time actually playing around and being able to adjust how these spotlights operate in different conditions. You will find that different setups will work best for you. For me, I have them on about 7 out of 8 intensity, and then about a 6 out of 8 in terms of the light, the beam output. So it's just a little bit off of being full spot, and I found that that was the best setup for me. That works in the majority of situations, but it's nice because when you get into a really tight spot, you can actually adjust that beam and make it much broader. Or if you're like, nope, I just want to look down the road, then you put them in full spot. The only time where these lights may not be what you're chasing is if you really do just want a light to do 5Ks down the road. You want it to have maximum output. You may be looking at something like a HID, or maybe something that's just pure LEDs in spot configuration. That'll give you the maximum distance, but obviously it's just going to be a pencil beam. You're not going to see anything off to the side of the road. And the other benefit to these lights is they mean that you don't have to pair it up with a light bar. For me personally, I've got these spotlights here. I've also got a light bar that's mounted up on the roof, on my rooftop tent. And to be honest, even after I've wired that up, the output from that light bar is really impressive. But combined with these, I just use these. Like they're that good that I don't need a light bar to go with them. There's all that usable light is right there and ready to go. And you don't need to add extra lights to make it into something which is going to be really helpful for you off-road. You can get different covers for these. I've got the clear covers and I've also got the amber covers as well. The amber covers do reduce the light output a lot more than what you think. Really good for sort of really dusty conditions, but if you're not driving in dust, like usually if I'm driving somewhere, like I'm doing a tag-along tour or something like that, I tend to be up the front, so I don't tend to be stuck in the dust. And usually if we're driving dusty roads, we'll want to be off the road well before nighttime anyway, so it's not really something I consider. It's mainly an aesthetic choice to choose to go with the orange covers rather than a performance-based one. I really like the look of them with the amber covers, but the clear covers also look really good on them as well. The only other spotlight which even comes close to the adjustability of these is the brand new ARB IQ driving lights. They've only just come out, well, last month anyway, and they are about twice the price of these. I haven't been able to test them, see them. They're brand new, so there's really no reviews on them either. Being an ARB product, they'll generally be quite good quality, but Bushranger ones have been excellent as well. And at the moment, I think they are the leader in terms of a light which is accessible to majority of people. It gives you a huge amount of benefit with its adjustability. Super strong. Bushranger is a really good company to deal with for whatever reason if you have any warranty issues. And look, they look really cool and they've been really, really good for me being able to play around with that light output. As such, I want to give them a good 4.5 out of 5 as my rating on these lights because they're excellent. I really, really like them. and I think you will as well. Thank you very much for watching this review video. Next up, we're going to be looking at the rear of the 200 series. It's going to have a bit of a freshen up. It's going to have a few changes coming along as well as a new fridge, which I'm really excited to do because my old fridge was great, but this new one's so much better, and I'm really excited to share that with you in the next video. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below if you've got a set of spotlights you really like, or if there's a new video coming up that you're excited for, and I'll catch you next time on Off-Road Crusader. Cheers.